Well, this is the number 10 video, so I'm going to go with that and do a video on making the perfect woman. I was going to make a very short video with the one item that will actually liberate you women, one true item. I'll include that and play the video over and over because you're not going to get it the first time. It is the one that will actually liberate you that you've never heard before. I do want to address the issue of these videos not being seen. This one 100% should be done in the Sam Kinison style. I would love to. However, I have to stick within the game box of freedom. And a made-up hussy does a video on abortion, and everyone clamors to it because of this. I'm not here with opinion. I'm here to give you fact. And there is a 100% difference there. I'm going to stay vague on this. A stripper had 6 abortions. That would have been 6 unhappy babies growing up to be 6 unhappy adults. Because of this, your government, your fat is beautiful gene is very enlarged. Ask your government. It is passed down from generation to generation. You're told that a baby is a baby is a baby. I'm not making a statement on abortion. I'm making a statement on game psychology. Real psychology will fix all of it, and that's what you should be doing, because what you've got now has fixed nothing. It has only glorified it. The fact that you attract only to foolishness, it is a fact. These videos, you need to watch them to learn, not just a few people picking it out to argue. Rudy Giuliani, I can speak about him because he chose to be a public figure, and other people I will be very vague about. But he did a fart video recently. The camera set up to record the look on a woman's face, and somebody played the video over and over for me, and I didn't hear it. I've have run machines all my life doing productive work, and I have probably different pitches that I can't hear. I can hear part of people's dialogue, maybe a little bit that I can't. Most of it I can. But not one person on the earth, not any lawyer, not any politician, not any psychiatrist, not any psychology professor of 40 years or more, knew that was an intentional done situation. And I'll give you the fact of that by telling you, think back on it. What do you remember? Do you remember the issue? Or do you remember to play the fart video over and over again? And I want you to think about that. It was intentionally done. Now, we all saw redundantly over and over again the hair dye coming down. Again, intentionally done. I think there might have been another one with him babbling something. They're all the same, and this sequence plays out over and over in front of you, continuous, and you don't get it, you don't understand sequence, and it's done on the subconscious level so they don't get caught. But you don't remember the issue, you remember the hair dye running down. And it works. But this video is going to be a difficult one. I'm sitting here like this. I'd rather either be doing a 10-mile bike ride or doing this Sam Kinison style. But you women essentially have a very large sequence going on here, and none of you can understand sequence. I'm going to ask you women to pull your heads out of your rear ends so that the men can pull their heads out of your rear end. And because you've got to fix the men in order to make the perfect woman. And you got a long way to go, but when you learn a simple fact, I drove across the country a couple of times trying to find one woman that I could use as an example. Here's a perfect woman. No. I thought, well, I'll bring in Alexa for a nice voice as an example. No, I'm in the hallway carrying this thing in, and all of a sudden it starts arguing me. It says, oh, I don't know that one. And so I took it back in the living room and threw it on the couch. And that brings us to this zero tolerance assault law. That is not the sweet thing you thought it was. If a serial killer comes in the bedroom and says, hey, I'm a nice guy, I'd like to tie you to the chair and put a bag over your head, well, whatever, you would probably say no. But everything your government has given you, you said yes. They're your credible source, and you had no complaints. This is what I put on the back of the car, and I change this often. The videos aren't being heard. I went back to signs on the back of the car. Nobody ever thought about this one. And I'm not here to give you religion or promote some type of religion. I am here to open your mind to real psychology, because it's the good one. It's your state of awake. You play by game rules. You have a credible source which has no boundaries of truth or reality. Your three big ones are laws, atheisms, and religions. And you never would have even thought of doing without those three. Real psychology does. And your government does not like it. You ask somebody with the Hubble telescope, is God real? If they're telling you the truth, and because of where their paycheck is coming from, they won't. God are they seeing clouds and somebody with a harp and a king on a throne and a son that's been sitting at his right hand for 2021 years? And there are other religions. It's the identical sequence. It is there to baffle you. It is there to hypnotize you. And I would love to talk to people of all religions around the world. They're all identical. But those items, a God on a throne, these people got that from a king on a throne is something on earth, and it is people. So, you eliminate God, you eliminate angels. Try it, because that's real psychology. Game psychology says you can't come outside that box and play. You got to stay there. You've got your game box. It's amazing, because I was born this way. And to watch people trapped in this game box all these years, and I cannot help you. Just as I said with the Rudy Giuliani videos, not one person on the earth realized that he was intentionally doing those because you gravitate to foolishness only and nothing else. And here I am trying to give you intelligent psychology videos. And but you've got a long way to go. You can't go there alone, ladies. The concept of being a poor imitation of a man, and then the man's got to snivel down low in the background, and to be even worse than you are, was a trap of hypnotic slavery that was produced immediately as that TV set was there to be your hypnotist. And here again, over and over, it's the same thing. It's hypnosis. It's not something different this time. Somebody tells you a lie, then they tell it to you again, again, and again. Game psychology says at one point a flip-flop occurs, and now they're telling the truth forevermore. And no, real psychology, it doesn't work that way. So the one issue that will help you women to start breaking this really glum mess that you have going on. And here again, your genes have been passed down for 58 years now that TV has been putting you in a direction you really didn't want to go. And so I'll use a parallel. A lifetime friend of mine, a wonderful person, very intelligent. We had a lot of years of fun golfing. And at one point he says, "Gare, I'm so glad that I can have someone I can compete with on the golf course." And I just bounced back without knowing, because I wasn't aware that I knew I was gathering the facts in those years back then. And now I have enough of it to be a teacher for an entire world of people, and I appear to be the only one. And Lucifer appears to be the light of the world, according to your Old Testament. You eliminate angels, you eliminate God. They're not real, except when they tell Bush Jr. to blow up Iraq. Then it's real. You got to deal with it in that sense. But government didn't like Lucifer. According to what I got out of the reading that he didn't have children. One is mentioned on the internet, and I'm not going to count it. And I've not been allowed to have children, and this book explains some of it, and it's a 449-page book, and it probably doesn't explain all of it. But I was watched over very carefully by government, and I'll go into that on some other video. Let's make a perfect woman. What do we got? Correct woman? That works. And a friend of mine on the golf course, he says, "Gare, I'm glad to have someone that I can compete with on the golf course." And I bounce back, like I say, not aware. I am now, more. I'm learning more every day, and y'all do. So learn all of this. And I bounce back. If you're good at something, it only really means that you practice. And he deflated in front of me. I knew I had said something big, but I didn't know what. And probably 10, 15, 20 years later, I'm going, well, to every mind frame there's an opposite mind frame. So I came up with two answers, and I'll give you one of them now that will set you women free. It says in the Bible, the truth shall set you free. That's got some truth to it. It suggests correctly. And of course, verbal has two. It has what the words actually say, and then it has what it suggests. And they both count to 100%. So acknowledge both of them, suggestion and what the words say. But what apparently happened, and he is a very quick thinker. His mind is perfect and mine is not. I won't go into detail why. This book does. But it all flooded back on him at once that he had much more years of training and background in golfing than I did. And apparently calculated that all in at once. I'm not sure. I'd like to think so. that I was calculating for that. I was not seeing that as a rule to a game. Gee, I'm not as good as he is. He was consistently better than I was, and I was not seeing myself as less than him. I was enjoying golfing, and real psychology is much more fun. Now, when you're competing and you've got to win the competition, that's old-style game psychology. Enjoying a good day of golf is real psychology. And every once in a while, I would become a semi-pro for a very short time if an attractive woman was in the area. In fact, there was one at the, I think it was a Paradise Valley Municipal Golf Course, probably the third hole. There was an attractive woman partnered up with him. So that was the only eagle I ever did. But that was interesting. When I would little over a year, I dated an attractive woman. It was the only good time I ever had. I won't go into detail. This book doesn't either. A little bit, but I was better at things in that time. And it was very nice, and it was not going to last because bad destroys good. You've got to learn that the history books were written by the victor, and to the victor go the spoils. Game psychology is different than real psychology. Sure, you have a game box, and real psychology does not. You take your evidence and you keep taking it in, and when you need to, you make the best decision you can. And real psychology is compatible worldwide, regardless of anything, including language. They'll still come up with these three things. Compatible worldwide, and similar conclusion worldwide, and productive conclusion, those three. And to have your 1,000 years of good living that the Bible says in it, and I know not everybody believes the Bible. Doesn't matter. I'll use it as I can. It's a history book written by people, and there's a lot of evidence that they were naive. It was written by people that thought the world was flat, and obviously God didn't explain that He in 6 days made a round earth. So led by God, look at that. That might seem like quite something. I gave another riddle in an earlier video, and these are all about hypnosis, which comes back to this every time. This is a very large issue. I thought, well, I'll do a short video and explain this one item and leave it simple, and nobody's going to watch it anyway. Who knows if that is going to work? That microscopic chip may run out before this should be a 2-hour video. It probably won't be. That chip's going to run out. But you've got a long way to go and wonderful things ahead. I want to explain one. In hating each other and hating yourselves. Oh, of course you can't say that. So I will. In America, they built 6 times the infrastructure. And you need to learn that. And you have no idea if you were in love with each other, a perfect friendship. That's real psychology. This you cannot. It is a circle of that never hits rock bottom. Stupid has no rock bottom. You're not you're not waiting to get a free bounce off the bottom and now you're heading back up. It won't do that. You're either going to have to take on the state of awake, which your government knows you can't. And that is the only true miracle, is that people gravitate towards foolishness and then pass that on to your children. But anyway, it all flooded back to him apparently that he was had more experience of it. Okay, your government's played you women that you're jealous of men. Well, we're good at being men because we practiced. And there is also a fact that we already are men. And to do liberation, which amounted to trying to be a man, do the things that a man can do. Well, for example, I saw a commercial lately, so I mentioned it. It might memory match to a lot of you, of the jet fighter planes shooting through the air. And then they showed an empty room except maybe 20 women standing there saying nothing, and I could not read anything more than a glum expression on their faces. And of course the ad said this is the direction to go. And you'll get money for it. Think about that. Game psychology, no insurance, no gambling, no military, no police. You're not going to have that outgo. In America, they're deciding to go to a 30-something trillion dollar deficit. Really, where is that money coming from? Nobody ever thought about that. But if you went over to Russia and knocked on somebody's door, and I'm going to make this assumption, this educated guess, hey, do you want to invade America? That individual would probably say no, they just want to eat a sandwich and be with their lovely, thin Russian wife. And over in America, you knock on somebody's door. Hey, do you want to invade Iraq? And they would say, well, we have to. They've got weapons of mass destruction. You eliminate government and you eliminate those jet planes that were in that video. Sure, that's fine. You've done that. You've seen it, done it, been there. You've been to the moon. You eliminate that. And I think that's cool you did it. Here you got a jet plane and it's hiding in outer space, dropping GPS bombs on some stranger. Okay, you did that. Real psychology, no. And nobody has ever thought of doing without that, because your government keeps you 100% full. It comes back to government every time. Government, religion, psychology is going to keep coming back to those two. You've got a big issue and a wonderful world ahead. The infrastructure in America, you don't have to work 50 hours a week to pay all these bills, because the real psychology, there's a circumstance called outgo, and that would start to be eliminated. You would have a mind that's not 100% full of horrible grief, and you could think of good things to do. You ladies, you can't go there alone. You got to take the men with you. People have to look at somebody else and say, hey, these are your problems. And game psychology says you can't do that. People have rights and freedom. And no, you don't. You have hypnosis, you have rules to a game. It is not a right or a freedom to be trapped in hypnosis. Religion, ask any psychology professor or psychiatrist. It's very skimpy out there as far as learning psychology. I'm the only one teaching it. And the number of views on these videos is very small, because it's not foolishness. And so you've got a long way to go. Alexa threw the thing on the couch. Well, that brings us to zero tolerance assault law. Well, at the point that you're helpless, but to hold up your cell phone and make a video of a police officer standing there casually murdering somebody in order to bring the Democrat vote, which was what was presented to us. I mean, that's what the people around me interpreted as, and that's what I was seeing it as also. Now, you could argue all day of what actually happened. Now, it's the message communicated that matters here, and that's what was communicated. But the other countries at that point need to complain about America, that we have no rights to fight the fight. This is a fight, women's liberation. I'm not asking you to run out and attack people. I'm asking you to think. You gain the information and realize what actually occurred. As soon as that zero tolerance assault law was produced, men were going around saying, "Oh, you better watch out, she's going to kick your ass." And what that does is it is foolishness to force people into a hypnotic state of mind, and the men were helpless to do anything about it. And the women were doing the same thing. Little tiny women telling the man, "She's going to kick your ass," and everybody else in the background going, "Woo!" No, a man that can pick up a woman and throw her over his head through a window is and I'm not asking you to do that. That's old style. I'm asking you to think. Take on the information, what really happened with that zero tolerance assault law. You were trapped in hypnosis, which is not freedom. Your police are out killing people. They're stealing, stalking, kidnapping people, assault. And nobody knows that because game psychology doesn't tell you that. This is your dominant gene, and you can't get to what is real. Nobody has ever heard this before, that to the victor go the spoils. The victor is inherently the bad guy, because bad inherently wins over good. Somebody spends 15 years building their home, maintaining it, paying the mortgage, and it's just about paid off. You can read about that in the book here. And I want to get everybody going in a positive direction, because protests just are a demonstration of helplessness, or a demonstration of worship of government. And oh gee, you can walk through a window and get a free TV. This is much better. And I'm not asking you to abandon this. I'm asking you to put this on top of your 100%. What I'm telling you is new. You've never heard that. How is the devil bad? No one ever thought about it. And how is Jesus good? How does anyone know that Jesus is the Son of God? Oh, you have to take it on faith. No. A virgin born a son of God on a bale of hay. You ask any psychologist on the earth, if there is one. And I use "if" because so far there's no evidence that real psychology is being taught to anyone. It is blatant, in your face, 100%, no question about it. Hypnosis, that is hypnotic tactics. A virgin born a son of God on a bale of hay is hypnosis. It is not freedom of religion. And you've got a big problem with this, because it's passed on into your fetuses. And the fat gene is too. And I remember some of the shows of the 70s and whatnot, and people were looking good, and now I can't find anyone to demonstrate, oh, here's a lovely woman. And you ladies would love to get back. In reality, not in the game, you're 100% full, and you have no choice until I come along and say, get out your books, write your books, no boundaries of anything. Write down what you want your tomorrow to be, and write down what you are doing. I wrote down a few weeks ago, one day that I anticipated Didn't turn out anything like that. I sat down that morning and had 3 beers and was contemplating the situation, and I got some of the materials out and I enjoyed those 3 beers instead. And the job still got done. And maybe a little too early. I poured, built forms to build corners to hold down in the wind here in Colorado a greenhouse that I'm going to build so that it's movable, it's not anchored into the ground, it's setting on top of the ground. So each corner was a 250-pound block of concrete, and getting it done as early as I wrote down in that book didn't happen, and I enjoyed my day better, and it didn't need to. One of the concrete blocks I poured, we'll see if it froze in the garage because it's been very cold here. So, and so I had to wait and write that down at the end of the day, what I actually ended up doing. And I liked it better. So you people that have a predetermined agenda and you can only go that direction and you can't see anything else. Real psychology, you have choices and you figure things out. And game psychology can't understand sequence. And my good friend, apparently he realized right then that my mind comprehends sequence, and that's why he deflated down. And we continued on enjoying golf. It didn't stop either one of us, but it was hopefully the true answer to women's liberation. You've been taught through all the commercials as soon as that TV was running that you've got to compete against the man, and we already are men. Yeah, what you ended up with is your government presented such foolishness that you ended up hypnotized. They could sell you anything, the plastic boobs that men made and put in women so that you would have confidence in the business world. That faded out. Now you've got the empowerment diaper. Because they're playing a game that if any, 8 billion people are watching you, and if they see one of you pissing yourself, that empowerment has vanished, so you have to continue wearing diapers. Superhero deodorant, jumping around up and down on top of the table in the conference room. I don't know what the deal is of conference rooms. I have no respect for them after seeing some of the failed products coming out. And this sequence is going on. No, real psychology is 100% superior to all that. But you women, we already are men. And you're going to like looking at the man can look at you and start listening. If one won't hear it, you're at a dead end in this country. And everybody is at a dead end with game psychology. You're going to have to take on a state of awake that I don't know if you can do. Because words can say anything, I say, I'm running for president and I promise to fix stupid times 8 billion. Because words have no boundaries of truth or reality. And I've been running for president since the early 90s. But you can't do it. You can't do this. You can't grow a third eye. And you can't grow a brain that is think-dominated. I could have had children, could have. The government stopped that. Some of that is in this book, and you ought to get a copy of it. See yourself when you're reading it. Nobody has bought a copy of this yet because it's not foolishness. And that is pretty tough stuff. Like I say, I'd love to be doing this video Sam Kinison style and more like that. And you've got quite a tangle of instead ofs. You're playing a game instead of what is real. And nobody has ever heard this of the Bible before. To the victor go the spoils, and the victor is inherently the bad guy. All you've ever heard is the victor is the good guy. Good always wins in the end. No, bad wins continuous because it is an attacker, it is a thief, it is a murderer. I mean, you can ration it out with the facts that you have. Write them down on paper. What is the bad guy? And what is the good guy? The nice person building a home, and you know, let's go further than that. Okay, emptying the garbage, putting fish in the lakes. Don't call that government unless they're hurting you. Yeah, save it.